is a journey connecting the music with the people that inspire us. You're listening to the Sounds of Success podcast with your host, Jim Lombardo. Brought to you by the Rising Tide Foundation. Let's jump right in.
Alfonso, my friend, it's good to be back in the studio.
I totally agree.
I knew you would. I knew you would, my friend. And for those who don't know, Alfonso is our producer. He keeps things going, he keeps the tapes rolling, and he keeps us on track. So other than that, how are you doing today, Alfonso?
I'm doing great and ready to record.
Just ready to go, huh? That's very rare for you. There's always some issue.
Yeah, today I'm ready.
Good. Excellent. So I have a question for you, Alfonso. Do you like videos?
Who doesn't like video?
Well, you know what? You're actually right. Because maybe for the first time in your life, you got the right answer. And I'll tell you why. Because people who watch videos retain 95% of the message. Well, when you're reading something, you only retain 10%. It's pretty amazing.
I had no clue of that stat. It's great. Good stat.
That's what I do. That's the things I bring to the table. Do you know what I'm saying? So, Alfonso, do you know what we have today? We have a video visionary in the studio with us today. What do you think of that?
I think that's brilliant.
Brilliant, huh? Wow. Good job, Alfonso. That's what I looked for you. And all the banter. So fantastic. So our video visionary today is Tony Borden of the Village Social Club. Tony, welcome to the studio.
Thanks for having me, Jim. Very happy to be here.
And there he is, Tony. Couple guitars in the background, which is nice. And maybe we'll get something a little later on. I don't know, Tony. What do you think?
Anything can happen.
Anything could happen. You're absolutely right. So, Alfonso, what I hear you saying something, but what are you saying?
Well, I think, Jim, we need a sound check.
And the way we're going to do that, Tony, is we are going to reveal a song.
Can't wait.
A song that we think captures you, your nature, and your personality. Are you ready?
I am ready. I can't wait.
Okay. So I thought we'd go back to 1979. What do you think?
Let's do it.
You're going to know exactly what this is as soon as I say it, because it's so obvious. I felt almost ashamed how obvious it was. The Buggles album, Plastic Age. You know what it is, don't you?
I do already, yes.
With Video Killed the Radio Star. But because it was so obvious, I had to dig a little bit deeper. I also want to give credit to the band Camera Club, akin to Village Social Club, who recorded that song first before the Buggles did it.
That's very interesting. I did not know that it was a cover.
And one other thing, Thomas Dolby, that's how he started, and he played keyboard for that band. So, Tony, Video Killed the Radio Star. Did we nail it or did we fail it? What do you think?
I think you nailed it. Because, one, it absolutely slaps. I mean, that's a banger that has held up for, what year did you say it was? 1979?
79.
All right, so that's quick math, 46 years.
Man, it is quick math. Good for you.
Look at that.
I didn't check the math, but I'll trust that it's pretty close.
And that's nearly half a century. The song itself is great. The message,
and they still play it. And they still play it around.
Still play it. You can listen to it in the club. You can listen to it, in the grocery store, wherever it is that they play music. They're playing Video Killed the Radio Star. Video Killed the Radio Star's big claim to fame, also, if you don't know, is that it was the first music video ever played on MTV.
Well, I was going to let you have that one.
All right.
I opened the door for you on that one.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And I'm also going to tell you, my son told me that they're shutting down MTV.
Well, that's what I was going to say next. That as of December 31st, 2025, MTV no longer broadcasting. That's it.
I got to tell you, I don't think that's it's such a bad thing, because I'm not sure what they actually do anymore.
I don't know what they do anymore, but MTV it changed the whole scene, not just for television, not just for video, but for music as well. Right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I mean,
agree
they
with that.
called Gen X before they settled into that was the MTV generation.
MTV generation, yes.
Yeah, I'm sad to see it go, but the truth is, I don't know what it's become. I haven't watched it in many years.
It's not good.
I'm not surprised. Well, reality TV just became so
That's MTV.
cheap,
That's MTV.
so inexpensive, so addicting. It was they couldn't say no, and
It's true.
know, they got high on their own supply, and eventually
shut it down.
They had to.
All right, I'm hearing Alfonso in the background briefly, but what do you got, Alfonso? What's going on?
I think we got to do a mic check.
Mic check. Got it, Alfonso. Let's check the mics, Tony. And I'm going to ask you a real simple question to check these microphones to make sure. In a single sentence, how would you describe your current role?
My current role? Oh, in business? In my life?
I'm getting shades of another guest.
Oh, no.
I think as long as it's in a single sentence, Tony, I'll give you 2 single sentences.
Two
How's
single
that?
sentences. Okay.
Because it sounds like there's more to you than meets the eye.
All right. Well, let me, I'll summarize it. I think first and foremost, I'm a husband and a father. Trying to.
That's a new one.
Is that nobody says that?
Nobody says that.
Or you've never had husbands and fathers, all single childless
I've had
men.
husbands. No. I've had husbands and fathers, but they tend to gravitate toward the question, which is in a single sentence, how would you describe your current role? But I think that's beautiful that you said that you're a husband and a father. That's great.
Well,
okay, so that's one sentence.
That's what I do it all for, right? To build my family life, to build my personal life, to enjoy my life. For work, I create video content for businesses.
Have you ever killed a radio host?
Yeah, let me tell you. No, not radio, but my father, for most of my life and most of his career, was in print. And so when I was focused on developing video and I saw the print industry sort of like starting to decline, I was like, right. I am part of this. I'm killing my father's industry with the way that video is growing, and video is ubiquitous and it's everywhere. And if you're not on video, if you're not putting it on video, if you're not making video content and sending it out on the internet, there was no longer space for brochures and catalogs and pamphlets and leaflets and, circulars and those kinds of things that put food on my table growing up. So I killed a radio star.
You killed the print star. Okay, so that's one sentence. You're a father and a husband.
Yeah, and I make video content for businesses.
But there's something else too. There's a and.
Yeah. Well, I'm also I'm a writer and a playwright and a producer and director of films.
Okay, very cool. I like that, and we're going to get into all that in a minute. But Alfonso, how's that?
Sounding great. I think we have to look track 1, built on the backstory.
Excellent. Okay, Tony, let's start from the beginning.
All the way.
I love this. All the way. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Montreal, Canada, which has many different neighborhoods to it. There's what a lot of people think of when they think of Montreal as the sort of downtown, sort of bustling center of the metropolitan area. And that is Montreal. But Montreal is also an entire island. And where I grew up is what's known as the West Island, which is a largely suburban area with a largely English-speaking population, which is why I speak English and not French, although I do speak some French. But that's where I grew up. My neighborhood was mostly English. My school was mostly English. And some people that are from the center of Montreal might say he's not really from Montreal because he's from the suburbs. The same way that somebody from, Boston or Chicago or New York might say that the people that grew up in the suburbs are not really from that place. However, Montreal I consider different because Montreal is the name of the entire island, and I did live and grow up on that island.
How would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, rate your childhood?
I'd say 8 or higher, maybe. I think I had a really great childhood. I enjoy my childhood a lot.
All right.
Yeah.
So what made it an 8 and not a 10?
What made it an 8 and not a 10? Well, everybody's got some junk back there that messed them up a little bit. Sometimes you don't realize it until you're a little bit older. Sometimes you did some things that you wish you hadn't done. Sometimes you said some things you wish you could take back. You break a couple hearts, you have your heart broken a couple times. But for the most part, it was very positive. I always felt safe. I always felt loved. I always had people in my life that I felt I could trust and I could rely on. I had a lot of fun times, great memories, good family, good friends, great music, great movies, great decade to grow up in.
Well, that actually brings me right to my next question.
Yeah.
You had all these great experiences. What about influences?
Yeah.
Was there anybody or anything that really had an influence on you growing up?
It was very important to me early on in my family and in among my friends and in the classroom to be the funny one. I always wanted to be funny, and I had such great influences to help shape my sense of humor. Growing up in the 90s, I think The Simpsons raised a generation of comedians and comedy writers. Late Night with Conan O'Brien was just so tailored for exactly people like me, people that felt that they were a little bit outside of the mainstream, but had something that they really wanted to say and wanted a larger audience. Conan was like the weird kid who became like prom king. He just gained popularity until everybody could see what he had to offer. And that was, really great. When I was a little bit younger, when I was, 10, 11, 12, I thought Jim Carrey was the...
Which Jim Carrey? On Living Color in that area?
No,
or something else?
Probably I did watch in Living Color, but he didn't make a big splash in my view until 1994, which was Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, stacked on top of each other. And it was just, he was it. He was the biggest star in the world. He was comedy in a way that nobody had seen before. He committed so hard to everything and just went all the way in. He was Canadian, like me. He just changed the comedy game. And you can see it now when you watch other things that came out like around that time, how much he influenced like people's like personalities. Like when I watch Ryan Reynolds, I'm like, this guy was built by Jim Carrey. And when I watch like, Chandler on Friends, I'm like, I didn't realize how much Jim Carrey there is in the way that he is delivering these lines, and for sure, I probably did that for a long time as well, until it became like annoying, until it was like, this is too much. Like, this is fine for the big screen, but you're in high school now, like, got to dial it down a little bit.
So I find it interesting that the question was your influences, and you went to non living people such as The Simpsons or people that you're associated with? So you got the influences from mostly TV.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, I could talk about personal influences as well. I think that my dad was very influential in my life, also in comedic ways. My dad was, didn't make joke after joke after joke, but when he thought of a good joke, when he had a nice witty comment to commit to, it was always 10 out of 10. He always knew just what to say to get the best laugh. And sometimes I'd be saying something or trying to be funny or workshopping a joke, and he had a phrase that he would say that I think about all the time. He would
That's
say,
good.
He would say, "There's a joke in there somewhere, but that's not it." And I would say, all right, good. Got to go back to the workshop.
Okay, so your dad's an influence. I love The Simpsons, Jim Carrey, Conan O'Brien, but it seems as if music had a pretty big influence on you too. And I'd love to see if you maybe could talk a little bit more about the influences that you had mentioned: the Beatles, Motown, Springsteen. Anything to add there?
Yeah,
and I also
I could talk about my musical influences.
The second part of the question. The second part of the question is, you also mentioned Bon Jovi for certain friends.
Well, I had a group of friends,
and then I would actually agree with you 100% that certain friends would be the Bon Jovi crowd.
Here's the funny thing about enjoying anything is that sharing it with somebody that you care about, showing them something and saying, I like this, what do you think of it, is as vulnerable as it gets, because it's so easy to on anything that I say I'm really into. You could say, no, that's bullshit, or they're a bunch of hacks, or that, oh really, you like that? It doesn't have to take much to really put me down. So not always do I tell people I really enjoy Bon Jovi, but I had a certain group of friends that, we would put on Bon Jovi and we would rock out to it, and we would call ourselves the Jovers, who are the Bon Jovi lovers. All right,
wow,
because we would listen to, they had hit after hit after hit for a while, and we would be like, they rock, and. Yes, Springsteen and Bon Jovi, big New Jersey, idols. And my college roommate was from New Jersey, and he always told me he thought that New Jersey and Canada, have a lot in common, because they're these wonderful, diverse, beautiful places that are always in the shadow of their loud neighbor next door. Canada with the United States, and New Jersey with New York City. And I think that's true. I think there is a kinship between Canadians and New Jerseyans. And maybe that's why Bruce Springsteen and Bon Jovi spoke to me when I was younger. Of course, the Beatles, Bob Dylan, Rolling Stones, that's my father's music, and what's funny about it is that I play that for my kids now, and they're still into it. My kids and their friends are into the Beatles, which is fantastic. But it just goes to show that there was something different about that music in the 1960s and 70s. I like
to play Black Sabbath for my kids.
Yeah, well, that works too. I know a lot of young people.
The darkest stuff. Well, there's more here, and this is not. I don't want to go micro on the music, but you did mention a lot of stuff, and I think it's really interesting. So, I think the one line you used was, and some Canadian stuff.
Yeah.
So anything specific there on the Canadian stuff?
Probably like Bryan Adams, or like Blues Travelers. No, not Blues Travelers. Blue Rodeo. Blue Rodeo was a Canadian band. So on the Canadian radio stations, they have Canadian content.
102.1?
No, I'm thinking more like Shome 97.7 FM or Mix 96 or 95.9.
Okay.
Q92.5. These are great radio stations. And there was, I don't know if it was law or just like an unspoken sort of protocol that they had to play a certain amount of Canadian content. So a lot of Canadian bands got a lot of airplay that they didn't get, just a couple hours away south of the border. So there were, like nobody knew who Bare Naked Ladies was until 1 week, right? 1 week was a big hit here. Or maybe they knew the If I Had $1 Million song. But Bare Naked Ladies were a huge Canadian band, like big, like everybody knew them, household name. Bare Naked Ladies, Our Lady Peace, Tragically Hip. These were bands that you would hear multiple times on the radio station every day. Bryan Adams. But yeah, that stuff seeps in. And so I'd find myself, when I moved to the United States, I knew a lot more about Canadian music than I realized I did.
Right.
And I didn't know that people didn't know all that much about the Guess Who, Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So I'd love to, this is the last music reference we'll make and we'll move on. But I found it very interesting. You talked about Nirvana, right?
Yeah.
And you said that you listened to it so many times, but it never felt like it connected like you expected it to.
Yeah, I did say that.
What did you expect? And why would you listen to it multiple times if it didn't connect?
Well, I have a funny story about that album, Nirvana, Nevermind. So that was a gift to me. It was a birthday gift from one of my mother's cousins, I think. Like probably went to the record store and said, "What are the kids listening to these days?" And they said, "Here, buy them this." And I was probably only 6 or 7 when that came out. So I hadn't quite reached teenage angst yet, right? I didn't have my teen spirit yet, but I was listening to it. I had a Walkman, and I would put the cassette in and I would listen to it as I would fall asleep. And I was interested in it because, it was sort of rhythmic and it was different and you couldn't understand what Kurt Cobain was saying. And I liked it and I knew that it was cool. And so I wanted to listen to it, and I listened to it every night. But here's the funny thing about it. I listened to that album every night, and then I put it away for a long time. And I knew all the songs on it, but I went to revisit it as like an adult. And I was like, I'm going to put on that album. And the first half of the album, I knew so well. I knew every track. I could tell you the names of the songs. I could sing along with the lyrics. When it got to the second half of the album, I didn't recognize it anymore.
Wow.
And it was because I was falling asleep every night before I had a chance to turn the tape over.
Right. Okay.
So I didn't know those songs as well. I knew the title track so well. I knew the second and third track. And then each one I knew less and less and less. And I was like, oh, wow. So the reason I think that I didn't connect with it, I mean, it was, people were telling Kurt Cobain that he was Bob Dylan and Mick Jagger and Michael Jackson all mixed into one, that he was a real voice of the generation, and put a lot of pressure on him as an artist that I, think ultimately led to his not feeling so great about his relationship with his audience. And, he spoke a lot about depression and anxiety and, addiction and stuff in his songs. And that was something that I couldn't relate to, at least not at that time in my life. I was just a little bit young to really connect with Nirvana.
Well, if you couldn't, here's the thing: if you couldn't connect with Nevermind, don't go back to the first album, which is Bleach, because you will not you will not connect.
Well, that's a funny thing. That's a funny thing about Nirvana is how small their catalog is. Yeah, because of the untimely death of Kurt Cobain.
One really quick story. So we went to a concert in Buffalo, New York. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, at the University of Buffalo. And there were 3 promotion posters because Nirvana played at the University of Buffalo. And nobody knew they played there.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. There might have been 150 people there in this huge auditorium. I mean, it was, and then he killed himself just a few months later.
Wow.
Which is pretty unbelievable. I still think about that, and that's where the bar for like concerts is, right? And like you go to these huge venues, there's 60,000 people, and you can't even really see anything. It's to have those experiences is really unbelievable.
I remember the day that he died. I was in a music store, and I overheard a conversation between two adults. I was a kid, and one of them said, "No way, you're kidding. The blonde guy?" And I knew what they were talking about.
Apparently big fans.
Right. Yeah, right. And I was just like, I don't know if I'd heard about it earlier in that day or later that day that I made the connection, but I was like, oh wow, yeah, that's. I remember the day that it had happened.
Yeah. With that eclectic background, the comedy, the music, was there a point in maybe your teen years or earlier where you really kind of felt that you were going to go down a creative path?
I think that I was always drawn towards the arts. I love to draw a lot as a kid. I like to perform. I did drama club and things like that. I took music lessons and I liked to perform in front of people. I was a really good science student, especially math. I was a very strong math student, and did very well when they had school-wide math competitions. I always placed
mathnasium.
We didn't call it that, but we did have, it was everybody to the cafeteria. You're all going to take the math test. And so everybody would take them. There was no studying for it. It was always a surprise, province-wide math test or something like that. I always did very well, top 1 or 2 in the school. And my teachers really thought that I was going to pursue the sciences. But when it came time to sort of, as I was getting older and, graduating high school, and I was like, no, I'm going into the arts. I want to write, I want to perform, I want to create things. They were like, please, you must continue with your scientific journey. And I was like, nah, it's okay. There are other people who are going to go much farther than I can.
Knowing this and knowing the Thomas Dolby reference at the beginning, I would have done Blinded by Science.
Well, I think
that would have been. See, if I had known that, this is the stuff that comes out. I didn't even know.
I didn't blind anybody with my science. Okay, I turned a blind eye to science so that I could.
That's even a better song,
right?
I like that even better. So, Tony, great start. Awesome first track. Alfonso, are we ready for track 2?
Let's do it. Track 2, Sounds of Now.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the company?
Sure. My company is a full-service production shop, studio, some people call it, different ways to describe the things that I do. I market myself as being able to jump onto any video project at any time, offering services from ideation, which is coming up with the idea for your video if you don't already have an idea for your video, production, which is making that video happen, design, which is including the elements to incorporate your brand and to make the video your own. This might include some logo design or incorporating your brand assets into the video, some animation, which is another one of the things that I offer. We do, we're an animation studio, and we do fully animated videos from beginning to end that don't have a production element to them. And then there's post-production, which is putting it all together. So some jobs, people come to me and they say, I have an idea and I want you to film it, and I'll film it. And sometimes I'll film it and I'll edit it and deliver it. Sometimes they say, I have an idea and I've already filmed it, and they'll send me the footage and I'll edit it. Sometimes they'll say, I have an idea and we don't want to film it. That might be an animated thing. And sometimes they'll say, we don't have an idea, but we know we want to do something, and I'll help to develop that together. That's the sort of stuff that I do. The videos, sometimes they're commercials, regular 30-second advertisements, the kind that you see on TV or on, between YouTube videos now. Sometimes they are what we call profile videos or brand videos. It's the kind of thing that just introduces yourself or your company or your service. You put that on the front of your website, or you put it on your social media, on your LinkedIn page or something like that. Sometimes they make good commercials as well. We do event videos, which are the kind of thing that, like, if you're having a big town hall, or you're having an annual meeting and you want to open it with a big video that says how great your company did this year, or if you're having a retirement party for the head of your company and you want to interview people about how influential this particular person was, you would hire me to make a video for that. And the last thing that I sort of do that I really enjoy doing are sort of comedy videos. And these would be, little bits of shtick or music video parodies or little comedy sketches that people, just need a little bit of help getting it off the ground to show that their company has some personality that they want to send out there.
Got it. Okay. So Village Social Club.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this name. Where did this come from?
It's actually the Greenwich Village Social Club. And
that's me. That's on me.
That's okay. I've considered shortening it to Village Social Club because that's my domain name, is just villagesocial.club.
Yeah.
Because GreenwichVillageSocialClub.com was just far too long to tell people.
I guarantee I'd misspell that.
That's all right. Yeah, and a lot of people mispronounce it. They say Greenwich Village Social Club. I figured in New York people would know what the Greenwich Village was.
Yeah.
But it mostly has to do with the NYU connection, which is where I studied film and television. A lot of people that I worked with when I started the company were familiar faces around the Greenwich Village campus. It also speaks to the sort of historic artistry of that neighborhood, where you could see people changing comedy, changing poetry, changing folk music in the small spaces in Greenwich Village back in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. And the social club network of it, of course, speaking to the collaborative nature of filmmaking as an art form, and the way that really we want to come together. We want to create something artistic. We want to have a good time while we're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell me differently, but I would think that this world, the video creation world, is ultra competitive.
It is.
And I guess the question is, if you think that is competitive, how do you differentiate yourself from the litany of other companies out there?
It is competitive, but what's interesting about the competitive nature of the arts is that everybody is unique. Everybody has their own unique style, their own unique voice. Like, to bring it back to music, I remember talking about Michael Jackson being in competition with Prince, but they weren't really it's not like you were going to go to the record store and you were either going to buy a Michael Jackson record or buy a Prince record. You could like them both, or you could like neither of them. Or you could be in the mood for Prince one day, you could be in the mood for Michael Jackson the other day. So video is competitive, but I know many other people that do what I do, or that I know other companies that I work with and might even compete for the same jobs with, but we're not like rivals. We don't hate each other. We're like, we're happy for each other. Oh, I'm so glad that you got that job. Oh, did you get that job? That's great. What a great client that is for you. Because things, the chips always seem to fall where they need to. If I lose a client to somebody else, it's always for a real reason. They went with somebody else because they were able to do it cheaper, or they could do it faster, or they were able to provide something that was more in line with what the client wanted. I can't go kicking myself.
So maybe a better question, because I understand the collaborative nature. I guess, how do you differentiate? What's different about you then?
I think that what I'm selling more than anything,
and not so much also differentiate. How do you get the word out that you are different? And if it is collaborative, that's fine, but you still need to get the word out for yourself. And how do you go about doing that and differentiating?
I think what really makes me and my company different is the time that we're going to have when we're working together. You know, I'm not a magician. There are other people that can do what I do, but I can guarantee that we're going to have a good time doing it because I like what I'm doing. I work with clients who I enjoy to work with because I spend a lot of my life working and I don't want to hate my life. I want to enjoy my life. Yeah. I want you to enjoy working with me. Well, look, what can I do? There are some people in film and in video that really hate what they're doing. I'll be on set with people and they're miserable. And I'm like, man, like, what are you doing here? There's a million ways to make a buck. If you're not loving every second of this, you're in the wrong business, you know? And a lot of people forget that. I tell people that they should hire me because I'm not an asshole. Because there's so many assholes out there that are trying to
that's a tagline. Now that's a tagline.
Yeah, right. Yeah, put that on my mask.
Business card. Right on the business card.
I'm not an asshole. Right.
Not asshole.
Right. Sound, you know, when you say it out loud, it doesn't quite sound as believable as it is when I'm thinking it. But it's true. People come to work. I have most of my clients are repeat clients. They're always a new client at first, and then they become a repeat client because it was easy. Because they know that when they ask me to do something, I'm going to get it done the way that they wanted it without making it difficult for them. There are people, you know, and I have to subcontract a lot. There are people that I know that I can call and I don't have to worry about it. And there's people that I know that I can call and I have to check in on them a lot. And it's like I'm doing the work myself. People like to work with me because I feel like they can hand it off and know that what comes out the other side is going to be a quality.
Yeah. Do you ever feel pressure to create or like have a creative writer's block when someone comes to you? Let's assume that first step that you talk about, they don't even have an idea. They know they want to do something. Do you ever feel any pressure to have to come up with something that they're going to like?
That happens a lot. It's easy to come up. It's easy to feel like your ideas aren't coming or that the ideas that you're coming up with are stale. But especially when you're working in corporate atmospheres, I can present ideas that get more and more creative. And ultimately, it's probably going to get whittled down to the safe choice. The safe choice is always very easy to come up with. So it's very easy to present the safe choice right off the bat. When somebody comes to me and says, I don't know what to do, I can present them the safe choice with my eyes closed. And then I can come up with, hey, do you want to try something a little bit different? It's funny, it's edgy, it's, you know, provocative. And then we can come up with something sort of in the middle.
How often does that happen where they choose what you've come up with as opposed to doing the stale kind of, you know, off the shelf type of thing?
Almost never.
Really?
Almost never.
Almost never they take that off the shelf or they didn't take your advice?
Almost never do they take my advice.
Seriously? Yeah. Why? Is it too risky? Is it too risky?
There's too much at stake.
Yeah.
And everybody has to bump it up until you get to somebody who's like, if I make a mistake, I lose $100,000 and I'm not willing to take that risk. When people get into advertising, they want to come up with those Super Bowl commercials that everybody's talking about the next day, you know, the ones that are really like, oh my gosh, did you see that? That commercial was such an interesting way to sell this product. It was so funny. It was so sexy. It was so edgy. But nobody gets to that point where they can pitch a provocative ad until they've proven that they can sell, you know, furniture at Raymore and Flanagan, you know, that they can do, you know, whatever run of the mill sort of boilerplate.
Do you feel stifled in the creativity if they go with the kind of safe choice and it's like the off the shelf thing?
Yes. I mean, look, I didn't get into this business to sell sunglasses. You know, I wanted to tell stories and I wanted to create characters. And I don't always get the chance to do, I should say, I always have the chance to do that, but I don't always get paid to do that.
Right.
What I enjoy is that the work that I do is at least adjacent to that creative process, right? So at the very least, if I'm not going to get to say where I put the camera, at least I know what I'm doing when I put the camera where you want me to put it, you know?
Yeah.
And believe me, when they do go with one of my ideas, when I do pitch something that's a little woo-woo and they decide to go with it, the pressure's really on for it to deliver. Because if that doesn't go, that's the end of that relationship.
So what you're saying is that if they say, hey, this is what we want, this is where I want you to be, this is the position I want, you're good with that?
Yeah, you have to be, because otherwise,
Alfonso, are you hearing that? Because that's
Yes.
I just want you to just do your job.
I'm here, aren't I?
there have been the rare occasions where I will say, you know, listen, you hired me for my creative acumen, and I am telling you that what you are deciding to go with is not going to be as successful. Like, you're supposed to put your trust into me, and if you don't, I'll do whatever it is that you want to do, but you're not getting your money's worth unless you trust me. I have said things like that. But, you know, look, every time I make a retirement video for an executive, I want to put, you know, their name and, like, you know, 1955 to 2022 at the end of it, like as if they've died. I pitch that at every single one because I know it'll get a laugh, and they always turn it down.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, that's a tough one.
It's tough, but it's funny.
Maybe you could do their estate plan.
The photo fades to black and white.
Yeah. In your experience, what separates a good video from I don't want to say bad, but a mediocre video?
A mediocre video is boring.
But in what way? I mean, because I'm almost hearing that in some ways, when they don't go, they go with the clients are going with the safe choice. So in theory, that would be the boring choice.
It is. But you know,
but it doesn't make a bad video though, right?
No, but it's like talking about like a billboard. Like, what makes a great billboard and what makes a mediocre billboard? I drive down the Jersey Turnpike, and sometimes it's just a lawyer's name and their phone number, and that probably works. They probably get results just from having that. There are some people.
If we hired you to do the billboard, what would you do?
I would do one of those ones where it looks like someone has like fallen off the billboard, or looks like the billboard has been graffitied or struck by lightning. I love things that are really going to, I mean, maybe it's not the safest because people are going to turn their heads and go, what is going on over there?
Do you think that's why they do the billboard? So everyone gets in an accident and they call them?
You know, I think if I were a city planner and they were like, we want to put advertisements on the sides of the road so that people turn their heads, I'd be like, no way, man. Are you crazy? That's a ridiculous place to put ad space. It does seem like a bad idea. Yeah, maybe there's regulations about what you can and can't put on the side of a highway. I don't know. But
here's one thing I'm always curious about when we talk about creative. And we can go here if you want, but I'm really curious. How do you go about pricing a project?
It's really funny when you're working on something creative. No, because
funny or ironic funny?
No, it's unique. It's uniquely funny.
Okay.
Especially when you're working in the arts, right? Because you think of something like, you know, there's a story about the Citibank logo. You know the Citibank logo, where it's it's the T and it's the umbrella that go over the two I's in City. The story is that the designer of that drew it on a cocktail napkin in a bar and sold it to the CEO on the spot. Only took him a few seconds to come up with it, right? So there are some people that say that, well, it only took you a couple minutes. Like, I'm not going to pay you $100,000 for that idea that you came up with so quickly. And it's like, okay, well, what is it that you would prefer? Do you want the idea to come quickly, or do you want me to spend 6 months on this project? And then, are you paying me for my time, or are you paying me for the value of my ideas, right? Most of the time when I'm pricing something out, I'm billing for my time, because I know that if I'm going to devote a certain amount of time to this project, I know what I have to make in a week, in a month, in a year. And so that allows me to sort of break out my time and say, my time has value and I'm billing you for this amount of time. The same way that a lawyer or a therapist would.
Right.
But the truth is that I think something is much more valuable if I can do it in half the time. If I can do something twice as quickly, you shouldn't be paying me half as much. You should be paying me the same or more, because you've gotten the same product in a faster period of time. So sometimes it is tricky to price something out. Sometimes it's just a feeling, and I think, this product is or this job is something that's going to take a lot out of me. I won't be able to work on other projects while I'm working on this. And I think for me to feel like this is worth it, I have to put down X dollars. And so I'll break it down and I'll say, I'll know what I need to make to feel good about the project. And then I'll break it down. I'll be like, this much is going into the creative development of it. This much is going into the post-production of it. This much I'm putting in because this is a rush fee. At times I've billed because there were ethical decisions that I didn't feel comfortable with, and they were like, we have to do this, or the job is going to go away. And I'll put in an extra line. I'll say, well, if I'm going to make ethical compromises about the content of this job, then I'm going to bill more for it. And I am.
What's an ethical compromise? I can't even imagine.
I was doing a job one time where they were taking famous scenes from movies and putting faces of their staff members over those scenes, right? And in one of these gag videos, it involved putting the face of a white executive onto the body of a famous black performer. And I didn't feel comfortable doing that. And they were like, look, we've already had this approved all the way up the line. It's already happening, and they're expecting this like by tomorrow. It's already been approved. It's too late to come up with an alternative idea. And so I wrote them a letter and I said, I'm just letting you know, I don't like this. I'm not comfortable with it. I'm doing it only because you've given me no choice, and I'm billing you extra for it.
Yeah. Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But I'm curious if there's anything you wish someone would have told you when you first started out in this business.
For sure. When you're studying film at a place like NYU, they're training you really to live the dream. They're training you to be prominent film producers and directors and, A-list screenwriters. And they don't really give you training for everything that falls below that, for being the, second assistant director, for being a corporate editor, for designing DVD jackets. There's no expectation for that, though. Everything aims much higher. And I always thought, well, boy, if I went back to university, or if I was teaching a course at university, I would tell everybody, follow your dreams, but build a marketable skill within your industry, within your interest. Just get good at something that isn't, being Martin Scorsese. Like, be able to do something else. However, a good friend of mine, somebody that I've collaborated with a lot, did get that advice. And after years of working as an art director and not being taken seriously as a screenwriter, as a producer, or as a director, he came to really regret that advice. He says, somebody told me to focus on my practical skills, and I did, and that's all anybody saw. They never wanted to promote the prop master to the screenwriter. They never allowed you to make that jump. If you want something, you have to focus only on that. So there are two schools of thought regarding that advice. Have a safety net and live in it, or have no safety net and then you achieve your dreams or you die trying.
Yeah. Makes sense. What about mistakes along the way? How about failures or mistakes? Anything stand out?
Absolutely. Yeah. I still think about my big mistakes. I had a job one time where it was a big fashion brand, and they were having a annual retreat in Las Vegas. And me and my whole crew were flown out to Las Vegas. We were staying at the hotel. We were there with rehearsals. We brought our cameras. We shipped all our gear. And I was in charge of directing the screens, right? So they've got their action, whatever's going on the stage, their audience, they've got their presentations. I'm in charge of what's on the screen. And so I'm sort of cutting cameras live, I'm behind and I'm going, all right, ready, camera 2, go right. Camera 2, ready, camera 3, go camera 3. And this is something that I did not have a lot of experience with. I had done it, but it had been a while. And I was so focused on doing a good job in cutting between the cameras and managing the live show that I had forgotten to tell the tape recorder to roll tape and to record the show. And so after the show, when we were supposed to then edit together a recap of the event, I didn't have the footage. That was a huge money-losing, client-losing mistake. And yeah.
What happened?
What happened? We lost the client,
Well, clearly, but yeah. What happened? I mean, you went through that whole thing in Vegas and they didn't have any footage whatsoever?
There were a bunch of different jobs, and there were a bunch of different jobs, one of which was sort of film documentary style. And yes, we managed to film that, put that together, cut that together, got them exactly what they wanted. This was one particular video out of, probably 6 or 7 videos that we were producing for them that didn't get made the way that they expected it to get made. So it wasn't, they weren't embarrassed. Their, customers didn't know that anything was missing from that.
Right.
Set.
Yeah.
But, but they knew, and we knew, and somebody looked bad in front of their boss,
Yeah. So what's the takeaway? How'd you bounce back from that? And what'd you learn?
No, not easily. It took a big hit out of my confidence. And I mostly learned from that not to spread myself too thin. I should have given somebody the job that was just to make sure that this is recorded instead of if I was trying to do 2 things at once. And I learned the lesson at that point that, not to wear too many hats, because it's very tempting to say, well, if I do this job and I do this job at the same time, I can get paid twice as much. But there's a reason why video and film production budgets get really bloated. It's because you need a lot of people to make sure that mistakes like the one that I made don't happen.
Yeah. So that's a perfect segue into self-doubt. You ever experience self-doubt even now, and with all the experience you have?
Yeah, sure. Of course I experience self-doubt. I think that's a very...
Anything that stands out specifically?
I don't know if anything particularly comes to mind. I've been doing this long enough that I feel confident in my own abilities. I think that a lot of filmmaking, a lot of video production, and a lot of just sort of entrepreneurship in general is about your problem solving abilities. And
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about that. And for the problems that I'm not able to solve, I'm pretty good at coming to terms with, what was working against me in that particular situation. You can't
Yeah.
solve every problem that comes your way. But sure, when something doesn't go right, you got to always ask yourself, is this something that I did wrong? Is there something that I could have done better? Hey, I didn't meet my quotas for this quarter. Is it possible that I am overvaluing myself and I'm not as good as I think that I am?
Yeah.
Especially with the way that technology is just exponentially increasing. I am always asking myself, hey, I'm doing things the same way that I did them last year and the year before. Does that mean that I am a dinosaur now? Like, am I becoming the people that I used to make fun of as being out of touch? You know,
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
it's really hard to tell sometimes, but I also don't think self doubt is a bad thing.
When that stuff enters your head, how do you move on?
You get a good night's sleep, have a good meal, maybe
Yeah.
go out with people that believe in you, that you can have some good laughs with, because a lot of it is about the relationships in your life.
Yeah.
If you're if if you're doubting yourself, maybe you're spending time with people that doubt you. Maybe you're spending time with clients and customers who are still wondering if this is a good fit or not.
Yeah.
I I like working with people that I already know, that we've been looking for something to collaborate with,
Yeah.
to collaborate on, I should say. I like working with my friends. That's the great thing about the film and video industry, is that all my friends are also in the film and video industry. And when I need something, I can call them. And when they need something, they can call me. And that makes me feel good. And that boosts
Yeah.
my confidence, and that removes my self-doubt. It's easy to accomplish something and be like, well, at least I have this. At least I know I did that right.
Yeah. Anything you'd change? A path maybe you could have taken, kind of curious how maybe that would have played out if you would have done that?
I think when I first graduated school, I was worried about my immigration status. And, the safe way to live and work permanently in the US when you are born in another country is to find a long-term sponsor, which is a single business that will hire you. And I was able to do that. And I was able to put in time and learn and built a great relationship with a company that really trusted me and who I came to really trust as well. But sometimes I think I was a little bit nervous about putting myself out there, to submit to film festivals or writing competitions, or try to work as a writer, or submit jokes to late night television, or work as a stand-up comedian, because I didn't think that those things were a safe path to immigration status. And looking back on it now, I think I was too worried about that.
Right.
And I should have lived without a safety net, I think, a little bit more. But I wouldn't call it regrets. I'm very happy with where I am now and the path that I took to get here.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself and Greenwich Village Social Club in, let's say, 5 years?
Well, the Greenwich Village Social Club has gone through a lot of changes since its founding, which was in 2017. Film industry and the video industry is not what it was 5 years ago. Leading into the pandemic and even afterwards, there was a big demand for video, huge, and it slowly started to erode, and there's a big.
What do you mean erode? What do you mean?
It's starting to fall apart. It's not what it used to be. Even in the center of film and television, places like Hollywood, they are producing fewer episodes of television each year, and the less entertainment there is, the less commercials that they're putting on air as well. A lot of people are out of work, and you can attribute that to many different factors, all sort of happening at the same time. The summer of union strikes, the increase in AI generated content. There's a lot of my friends left New York to work in Los Angeles because that's where the opportunities are. And now they're finding that they've built lives there and that they have to leave Los Angeles and spend time away from their families because everything is filming in other places that offer them better tax incentives because everybody's just trying to scrape together a living.
So where does that leave you for the next 5 years?
I mean, I'm still doing it, but I'm trying, to make a success of myself in different ways. I do a lot of writing on the side. I do a lot of consulting with people that are making their debut films or their feature films, or working in smaller spaces like short films or independent theater and things like that, trying to develop that, seeing maybe if something sticks, if something becomes popular, then there's a financial incentive there. I also do a lot of teaching. I teach filmmaking and graphic design and animation.
Where?
I work at a wonderful art center in Hackensack, New Jersey, called Marble Jam Center for the Arts and Enrichment, which focuses on teaching and providing an arts education to people, adults mostly, but also children with developmental disabilities, mostly working with the neurodivergent community.
That's great.
It's a wonderful experience, to work with people who are really there for the love of the art form and to develop their practical skills is a really rewarding experience. And seeing it's like being youthful. It's like being in film school again to develop these ideas and to really, shape these stories and come up with these fascinating, unique, and interesting characters is really great. So a balance of these things, leaves me with a little bit of mystery as to where the Greenwich Village Social Club will be in 5 years. Maybe it becomes something else as I make a balance between my corporate contracts and my, work in education and my extracurricular writing. It's hard to see what the road ahead is, but I'm excited about it.
Any big thing that you're thinking about? You're like, man, that would be a game changer. Anything like that?
I would love to direct a feature film in the next, 2 to 3 years. I would love to take a low budget independent script and put it in the can. Something that most video professionals would like to do at some point in their life. And I feel like,
So if I come back to you in 2028 and we do another call, you think you'd have done that?
I would like that. I would really hope that. And if I can put that on my calendar and look at that goal and be like, oh man, Jim's going to call me up and I better have something to tell him. That would be
going to
a nice
send you the calendar invite right after this meeting.
Okay, sure.
All right, how's that?
Sounds good to me.
So I think you know the name of this podcast, right? It's The Sounds of Success.
It's right behind you.
So I guess the question is, how do you define success?
I think success is about feeling content on every step of your journey, which doesn't mean that you have to live your life with rose-colored glasses. It means that if you're chasing some dream, if you're chasing some award or some achievement or something that you think is really going to define success for you, then when you get there, it'll never be enough.
I'm going to stop you. That's extremely philosophical. It's very stoic. What are you doing to cultivate that mindset, or anything? Or are you just wired that way?
I'm not wired that way. No, it's easy. It's easy to slip out of that. I'm as vulnerable as anybody else, but I try to work.
So what are you doing? What are you doing for like the self-improvement like that? That's a very philosophical approach.
An easy distraction is that I'm raising young kids, right? So no matter what happens, I know that I'm always playing an important role, if not in my own life, then in somebody else's life. That today matters as much as tomorrow or next week or a year from now. It's about today. My kids are young and they're only going to be young once. So I try to focus more on the present, be, sort of centered in today without worrying about yesterday or without worrying about tomorrow. And that goes the same with my marriage. That's a developing thing. Relationships take work. And my home life is something that is always easy to retreat into and feel like it's progressing forward, because it is. With my creative space, I like to look at each year and say, this is what I did that year. Well, this is the year I wrote that screenplay. This is the year I started my business. This is the year that I started instructing. I like to look back on a year and think this year was different and new in a way that it hadn't been before. And that motivates me to keep going.
Well, it's interesting because the next question is, Tony, are you successful?
I think so. I think I'm successful.
Those seem to have question marks at the end of them.
Well, it's a funny thing, it's like Bob Dylan said, I might think that Bob Dylan had all the answers if I wasn't Bob Dylan,
right?
Because
right.
I do think I have many successes in my life. Are there things that I haven't achieved yet? Are there things that I wish were going better or that I wish were easier? Of course there are. But to say that I'm not successful would be an insult to people who are less successful than me.
Right. That's well said. But hang on. Tony, hang on one second. Alfonso, did you say something?
This is a great album. Let's get some liner notes.
Great plan, Alfonso. Tony, this is where your fans really get to know you. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. Who is the closest person to you, first name only? An adult.
Janelli.
If we asked Janelli to describe your quirks or weird habits, what would they say?
Oh my God. It would be a long discussion. It would be a long discussion.
Let's name two.
Two quirks or habits of mine?
Because if it's a long discussion, I mean,
I think I'm not very good at putting things away when I'm using them. All right, so there's that.
That doesn't seem that bad.
That's not that bad.
Like, I mean, do you hang like a bat or anything? I mean, that's weird, you know?
I sing things. I sing my thoughts sometimes. All right.
Okay.
Right.
All right. That's good.
Right.
Push the envelope. Push the envelope, Tony.
I can't make a peanut butter sandwich without singing peanut butter boy, peanut butter boy.
That's different. Okay. That's excellent. That's excellent. All right. Good. I like that one a lot. Okay. If you could instantaneously master any skill, what would it be?
Good question. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna say something, and then when we're done with the podcast, I'm gonna be like, "Oh no!"
Make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich
without singing. Yeah. No. I think I always okay. This one's it's such a.
You got one wish, and it's to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich without singing.
This is a lousy answer. Okay, and especially because somebody told me recently that you only retain 10% of the information when you're reading something.
Who's the genius that said that?
I don't know. I couldn't retain the information, but
because you read it.
But I think if I could master, I always wanted to be a speed reader. You know, you see these people on TV that read like the books like that.
Yeah.
Like if I could read, not just read, but retain the information, I would be very happy to instantly have.
I think that's a great skill. I think that would be great. That's the first time we've heard that one. I like that one. Okay, when you need to hit the reset button in the busy, multi-pronged world you live in, what's your go-to zone out activity?
Is it specific? I mean, I definitely can zone out in front of the television.
Okay, what do you do? What's the first one? What's the thing you Simpsons? I
don't watch a lot of Simpsons these days because I'm a golden age of Simpsons kind of person. I only watch the first 10 seasons. I like old movies. You know, like I might watch something that I've seen 100 times before, like anything from, like Back to the Future to.
Don't ruin it because that's coming up. Don't go there yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you this much. Okay, I'll tell you what my one big vice is. I'll tell you what my one vice is. Okay. When I'm feeling like I really have been bogged down and I need to lift myself out of it, I will eat an entire pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. That is
yow.
Yeah.
Yow. Which one?
I do not
Cherry Garcia.
No, not Cherry Garcia because I don't like fruit in my desserts.
Okay, all right, that's fair. All right.
I like mint chocolate cookie is a good one.
Nice.
I really like Americone Dream, which is the Stephen Colbert flavor.
Okay.
And I like anything with the cookie dough in it is pretty good. I also don't eat dairy, and Ben & Jerry's has an excellent line of non-dairy ice cream.
I was going to say, if you ate the dairy, then that would be a whole new skill you'd want to master.
Sure.
So I can look at your physique, and I'm wondering when you are eating a pint of Ben & Jerry's and you've now consumed 19,000 calories. I mean, there's got to be an exercise routine. There's got to be something, unless you are the abnormal human and the having a metabolism of a fly.
No, I don't exercise. I'm just extremely nervous. I'm just twitching all day.
Well, then keep eating Ben & Jerry's, my friend.
That's it. It's all
okay. Dead or alive? Who do you have lunch with?
I would love to have lunch with. Oh my gosh! I'm picking a single person.
Well, I mean, it's not a table for four.
Okay. It would be.
No.
Yeah, I know. But this is like what I said earlier. Is about whoever I say, somebody gets you like.
Do me a favor. You picked. Form it as a question.
I think the best lunch I could have would be with Weird Al Yankovic. That's who I would pick.
And that's the only thing I didn't
he's
go
alive.
To. Okay, perfect. All right. So I can't even imagine that lunch. But you do the whole thing. You talk about the fact that was one of the first albums you bought. You go into that and you have a great lunch.
Yeah.
But inevitably the check comes.
Yeah.
Who pays?
He does, 100%. Sorry.
Finally, somebody has slid the check back to the famous person.
Well, everybody else picks up the tab. I'm just not in that position.
Every guest has done that. And I mean, Paul McCartney to everything. They're paying for lunch. Finally,
look,
someone's honest.
Jim, let me explain something, okay? If I'm having lunch with a celebrity, if I'm having lunch with Weird Al, it's not because I invited him. He invited me.
Okay, well,
that's the only way we're at the table together.
Okay, that's fair.
I can't pull that kind of talent to the table.
All right. So the phone rings. He's called you and said, "Let's go to lunch," and you said, "Yeah, only if it's on you."
I don't even have to mention it.
And then you go to lunch and you start singing "Eat It." Okay, money or meaning?
Meaning.
You answered like 100% of all the other guys.
Because everybody says meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because who says that's a bad look to say money? You know,
it's a bad look.
I need money as much as the next person, but the truth is, I wish that I didn't. I would rather money were meaningless. I want to live in Star Trek: The Next Generation too.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you should have. That's who you should have gone on lunch with, Captain Kirk. Okay, books or movies?
Got to say movies. I mean, I love the concept of books, but the truth is, I don't read as much as I wish that I did. And I think movies are the best expression of what life on Earth is all about.
Well, then we'll go to movies first. And the question is, which of the movies that you've seen or would like to see should everybody see?
I think everybody should see 12 Angry Men. I think even if you don't like movies, I think it's an important movie to watch as a human. I think 12 Angry Men is a perfect film.
Okay.
And
what's the backup?
What's a backup movie?
Yeah.
Jaws.
All right. I'm going Jaws first.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I'm going to go Jaws first because that's how, I mean, that thing's on 15 times a year.
Sure.
Right. Classic lines. All right. If you had to give a book out as a gift, what would it be?
All right. So I try not to be such a cliche about things, but my favorite book. Ooh, okay. Oh, I was going to say one, but now I'm going to switch it. I was going to say my favorite book is Catcher in the Rye, which it is. And I don't like to tell everybody that because some people are annoyed by that book, or they were forced to read it in high school, or they got caught with it when they assassinated somebody. You know, it's just, the book has some bad juju around it. If I really was going to give a gift to somebody and I wanted to make a difference in their life, I would give them To Kill a Mockingbird.
Right. Another book you had to read in school.
Yeah. I mean, again, these are very huge, popular.
Or if it was me, it was Cliff Notes. And if it's my son, it's tell me, like, summarize the book for me so I don't have to read it over the summer.
But it's also like, if I had to give a gift, that's when but it's not necessarily, I mean, I love the many books by Kurt Vonnegut. In fact, Kurt Vonnegut is somebody maybe I would sit down to have a meal with. Sorry, Al.
You can do that in 2028. You can
sure, right? Yeah, we'll reconnect. There are a lot of books to recommend, but I would say if you have not read To Kill a Mockingbird, I think it's important that you do.
Fair enough. You're going with the school books. I'm surprised you didn't say the freshman chemistry. Alfonso, is that you back there? Are you still? What are you doing?
Hanging around and enjoying the whole thing. And I think we got to do a bonus track.
So okay, let's do it. So Tony, we started out this show with a track that we felt captured you, your nature, and your personality. Right?
Yeah.
But now it's your turn. And fans want a bonus track, a song you think best represents you. So, Tony, lay it on us. What's the song?
I think the song that best represents me at this point in my life is probably Stand By Me
Okay.
by Benny King, the original.
I like it. Okay.
And, it's not a song that I always think about, but whenever I hear it on the radio, I'm always overtaken by what a great song it is. I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, I don't know if I would say that this is the best song ever written, but I can't think of a song that's better than this. I also think, as far as songs and movies that have the same title, I think Stand By Me is a winning tag team above, other films that are good songs and good movies.
Do you know what inspired that movie?
Yeah, it's a short story by Stephen King.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Let's shut it down, Alfonso. He can run the show. He's going to run the show from now on.
Yeah, sure. Stand By Me is a great movie. Stand By Me is a great song.
Why does that song represent you?
It's so hopeful, and it's a true love song. And not just a love song about, romantic love. It could also be interpreted as it can be interpreted as friendship, and it can be interpreted as, self-confidence, that even when the world is falling apart, stick to it. You got this. You can be the person standing with yourself. It's about believing in yourself, believing in the people that you're with. It's so life affirming. It's so optimistic and hopeful, and just beautifully executed. Regardless of the lyrics, the composition of it, that opening bass line, those orchestral strings, it's a fabulous track.
Well, I mean, Tony, it's clearly a great song. But do you mind if I give you a couple of fun facts on that?
Yes, I'd love to hear it.
Okay. So it turns out that Benny King did not originate that song.
Oh.
But that song was actually a gospel hymn song by a guy named Charles Albert Tindley. And he's a pretty famous guy because he's actually credited with the civil rights movement. What's actually more interesting about that song is that song was recorded over 400 times by different artists.
Really? Wow.
Otis Redding, Elvis Presley, John Lennon, Tracy Chapman, Florence and the Machine, and I'm not sure if you're ready for this one. You ready?
I am. Tell me.
Cassius Clay, better known as Muhammad Ali, recorded that song.
I love that he dabbled in the recording arts for a little bit.
Well, apparently that album was considered a comedy album, but that song he sings very very seriously.
It's the only way to sing it.
That's true. It's true. So you picked a great song. There's no question. And clearly the 1986 award-winning movie named for that too, which you had mentioned. So, well, Tony, I got to tell you, I think that is a perfect closing note for today's session. Big thanks to Tony Borden of the Greenwich Village Social Club. If you do change that, I get a royalty on it.
Yeah.
Shorten it.
Absolutely.
Okay. But I really do. I want to thank you for recording with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was a great pleasure.
If there's one thing that we all seem to share, regardless of background or profession, it's the shared love of music and making connections with great people like we did with Tony today. Until the next time, I'm Jim Lombardo, where the sounds of success are unscripted, unfiltered, and unforgettable.